I'm going to show you some tools that I use for blade removal. You need to have a propane torch. I use a magic marker, a Sharpie, to mark where the blade and the shaft meet. I also keep some needle nose pliers and some needle nose vice grips. This is to grab the material and pull it away as you're taking the blade off. And you also need a utility knife to score the back of the blade, and also to remove the glue once you've got the blade off. So those are the tools we're going to use, and I'll show you how to do the blade removal outside. I'm going to show now how to do a blade removal. The first thing you do is there is vinyl tape located down at the end of the shaft where the shaft meets the blade, and it takes a little bit to take that off. You want to make sure you take it off so it doesn't get burned. If you don't remove the tape, that sometimes the tape can ignite and then leave a burn mark on the shaft. So get all the tape off, which I've done. The next step is to make a mark of where the blade, how far the blade came on. So I've got a magic marker, and I'm marking right around in a circle to locate how far you want the new blade to come on. Now this isn't an issue if you're changing from like a 52 blade like this one is to a 55 blade or to a smoothie, because they're different length blades and it's not so much of an issue. But if you're changing a 52 blade with another 52 blade, you want to make sure that it's able to come on to the same spot, so you have the same overall length when you're finished. So now that I've made a mark here, I'm ready to use the torch and start burning the blade off. This is one thing you want to make sure you do outside if you're using a propane torch, or in a properly ventilated area. Turn the torch on, and I start heating the back of the blade where the cone area is first. Make sure that you keep the torch moving. I'm not holding it too close, and I make sure I keep it moving, because the shaft is also getting some heat. And the best way to do it is to heat the blade itself and not so much the shaft. This is deteriorating the glue on the inside without damaging the shaft. So I sort of keep it moving all the time. I heat the back of the blade for approximately a minute to a minute and a half. And then I'll turn it over and do the same thing to the face of the blade. And I wave the torch about as far as the cone goes. So that's the area I want to heat on the face of the blade. I make sure the same thing, I keep it moving back and forth. And depending on if the blades are painted, sometimes the paint will catch on fire, and you don't want to let that get out of hand. It's normal for the blade to ignite a little bit, but as long as you don't have the whole thing blowing, I try to blow it out just so you don't get flames out of control. I'm heating the back of the blade again for another few seconds to make sure it gets heated. I'll go right around the blade again, because it takes about, I'm guessing about 2 to 2.5 minutes on the face and in the back to be ready. This is deteriorating that adhesive on the inside of the blade, and it allows you to get the blade off without damaging the shaft. So now that it's heated well all the way through, I'll shut the torch off, make sure the blade's blown out, and I've got a utility knife that I now take, and I'll score the back of the blade without going down too far to the shaft. I just want to score the back of the blade itself, start to peel it up. This you can pull out. You want to be careful not to burn yourself. I score it in a couple places, and you can kind of get a feel for how far you've got to go. Then you could turn the blade, actually turn it slowly, and if you've heated it right, it'll just about come off. There we go, it's starting to come. Here we go, all at one piece. There it is. Now you see what you have left is you have some adhesive left on the shaft, but the shaft is still totally intact. That it takes a little practice to do. You want to make sure you be really careful the first time you're doing it. The next step, the last step, is to make sure you have all the adhesive off. So when you bond the new blade on, it goes on as far as it's supposed to. If there's any humps of carbon fiber or adhesive, then the blade won't be on perhaps aligned correctly, and it may also not be on as far as it should be. So I'm trying to do this fairly quickly after I heat the blade because the adhesive comes off better right after it's been heated up. If you end up with a situation where you have to stop, then you have to reheat the adhesive. There's a couple of reasons you might want to change blades. One of them is if the blade has incurred some sort of damage, whether it's something that's really structural on the side, or if it's broken in the back, or if it gets run over by a forklift, or whatever it is. The other reason you might want to replace a blade is if you want to upgrade, you want to have a different blade. If you've got a Macon blade and you want to go to a hatchet blade or a smoothie blade, you can do that also. The biggest thing is you want to make sure that you don't put too much heat on the shaft itself. The shaft here I can actually touch now, and you don't want to be able to squeeze that shaft at all and deflect it, because the heat can really do damage to the shaft. So it's a pretty important thing. This one is all set. I will take a little sandpaper to it before I bond a new blade on, and then it'll be ready to bond a new blade. One last thing you want to make sure is sometimes you'll get stuff that goes up inside the shaft when you take it off, and you want to make sure you bang any debris out of it. Because if you bond a new blade on and you miss that debris, you can have a rattle inside your shaft.